welcome. You're watching Medically Speaking, and I'm Meenakshi Upreti. With me is Professor Anil Arora. He is the HOD of the Gastro Department of Sir Gangaram Hospital. Thank you, sir, for joining us once again. So my very first question to you, we will come to the topic of COVID, correlated comorbidities, of course, liver diseases, gastro issues, and more. But starting with a surgery which you had done, a rare one, wasn't it, sir? Tell us really about the tumor which had been removed by you, the stomach gastric tumor, if I'm correct, which had been removed by an endoscopic invasion. Tell us a little more about the same to our viewers in layman's terms, sir, first of all.
Yeah, thank you, Meenakshi, for having me on your show. This was a patient who had been going around with the tumor in the stomach for almost a year. He had earlier been reluctant to get operated because of the ongoing COVID-19 waves. He went to a surgeon who thought the tumor was superficial and maybe it was amenable to endoscopic means. So we spent about 6 hours, and fortunately we were able to remove the whole tumor without any surgery from within the stomach. We shared the pics with you. This is the new technique called endoscopic submucosal dissection. It is not a new in terms of Indian scenario. A lot of people have been doing this work earlier also. But to have an early malignancy in the stomach is very uncommon in Indian scenario. Most of our patients tend to come late in the course of the illness, and they are not fit for endoscopic surgeries. So this is one of the uncommon varieties of early stomach cancer, which has been very well handled by endoscopic removal without having been subjected to surgery at all.
Well, absolutely. And that is, you said something very important. The patient was reluctant to visit the hospital, was getting a critical surgery delayed because of the COVID pandemic fear. And so the latest study has shown exactly what you say, that there is a large number of patients who are reluctant. And this is a study which was conducted in the UK. And I'm sure the same thing can be replicated in India as well. A large number of patients are worried and they are delaying their basic surgeries, even, much required procedures because of this endemic fear of COVID, even though many have said, of course, the top experts and scientists have said that the third wave may actually not come. The numbers are at an all-time low. Why is this fear still remaining, sir?
Yeah, you see, if you look at the devastating effects of the COVID-19 second wave, it has still not been off our conscience. People have been affected mentally, physically, socially, and economically. So do not expect an overnight overhaul of everything. People are still recuperating. You must understand, this is once in a century pandemic. I think most of us would never be able to see it again. And since we have experiences, and then we are the lucky ones we have survived, we are still trying to come out of the ripple effects of the second wave which has occurred.
So gradually people will try to... Taking your thought forward, of course, the psychological impact is still there. But, sir, would a booster shot actually improve immunity? Will it actually help us fight COVID better? I ask you this because there is a huge debate around booster shots, which is happening. You, of course, are an expert in the gastro, liver issues and diseases, sir. Many of your patients are comorbid. Do you think that as a private practitioner, as a doctor in your capacity, sir, what's your idea? What do you think? Do you think that a booster shot is needed perhaps someday, later, at a later stage, at least for the comorbid?
Yes. In fact, if you just look at the altruistic term, anybody who is immunocompromised, anybody who hasn't had either the exposure or two protective jabs, certainly needs a vaccination. And those who have not got the antibodies made or those who are immunocompromised, so this is the subgroup of the patients who will certainly need boosters. But having said that, I think it is very important to reiterate that the disease tends to spread amongst those people who have not been vaccinated. So to talk of boosters in a country where there is substantial portion of the population which has still not been vaccinated, if you look at the Indian data, only 1/4 of the population has got the second jab. That means 3/4 have still not got the adequate protection. If on the top of that, because of the lack of availability of the vaccine, if we keep on giving boosters to those who have a controversial role in terms of prevention of the disease because of the development of the antibodies, I think we are just trying to put the cart ahead of the horse. So let everybody get vaccinated, and those certainly who are at a higher risk of acquiring infection, that is transplant recipients, those with immunocompromised state, certainly if they can lay their hand on the vaccination, it is a good alternative, but not across the board. Let everybody be vaccinated with the second jab first before we talk of boosters.
Well, absolutely. And, that perhaps is a thought prevailing as far as policymakers are concerned. We interviewed a few of them, and they seem to reiterate the same. So the Lancet studies also said that antibodies is not the only thing. But coming back really to your forte and specifications, about 2 weeks ago, if I'm correct, and we had covered it on our website as well, gallbladder gangrene, a very rare case which you saw, sir. How rare is it? How could it develop? How is it a post-COVID symptom? Tell us really about this first case series which you had seen in India, sir.
See, we recently reported large number of the complications occurring in the peri-COVID era, primarily after recovery from the COVID. We reported the white fungus, the black fungus, cytomegalovirus-induced colitis, and finally we were baffled by influx of the 5 patients who had severe inflammation of the gallbladder leading to the gangrene, and 4 out of the 5 patients developed perforation of the gallbladder requiring emergency surgery. So since these patients had recovered from COVID, so we believe that the antigens which may be persisting in the body or antibodies which have been formed against the virus, they also may have an affinity for the bile duct epithelium. Now, ACE2 receptors, which are conducive to the entry of the virus into the alveolar cells of the lung, which is the most important site of involvement of the COVID-19 infection, are equally prevalent in abundance in the bile duct epithelium. So we believe a combination of effect of ACE2 receptors with dysregulated immune mechanism would have resulted in severe inflammation involving the bile duct epithelium, as well as compromising the vascular supply, causing vasculitis. A combination of the 2 events resulting in the double whammy resulted in acalculous cholecystitis. That means these patients had inflammation of the gallbladder even in the absence of the stones. Acalculous cholecystitis to a stage where it had led to gangrene requiring surgery is almost unheard of in COVID. We reviewed the literature. There have been 5 to 7 more cases reported in the world literature. And we thought we'll make everybody conscious of it because we saw in succession 5 cases for the first time in India.
Right. And so this was, of course, seen for the first time in India. How rare is it? And what really is the reason for a condition like this developing? Isn't it quite fatal as well, to whatever little I understand of it?
Of all the cases of cholecystitis, 10% tend to occur in the absence of the gallstones. And the typical and classical setting for acalculous cholecystitis is a sick patient who has severe sepsis, is in ICU, is on prolonged ventilation or a prolonged total parenteral nutrition state, in which you will have bile stasis, which results in inflammation of the gallbladder. But surprisingly, these were the patients who had recovered from COVID. They were at home and presented with fever and symptoms of cholecystitis. So it was not the traditional causes of acalculous cholecystitis and gallbladder gangrene. I think it was a trigger initiated possibly by the COVID antigen antibody complex, and in lieu of high density of ACE2 receptors in the bile duct epithelium may have resulted in gangrene. So the lesson is, if you have symptoms of inflammation in the gallbladder after recovery from the COVID, even in the absence of the gallstones, do not ignore it. Maybe a timely intervention with IV fluids and antibiotics may herald the progress of disease to gangrene requiring surgery.
Well, absolutely. So early detection, once again, the key, and the message really coming today is that if you feel any symptoms, don't ignore them, don't delay them, don't reach, of course, a later stage. Rush to your physician at the earliest. There's nothing wrong, in getting yourself checked, especially during a sensitive time, as sensitive as post-COVID recovery. All right, sir, thank you very much for joining us and giving us your views on all these topics. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.